Many European countries, especially further east, are going to enjoy relatively calm weather for the foreseeable future, but this won't be the case for areas within the reach of the pest from the west. By the second half of this week and beyond, my attention is going to be over northwestern Europe, where a powerful storm system looks to be followed by numerous other systems. Of course, before we get into what's to come, let's take a look at what's happening right now. The most significant weather event across Europe as of today is this storm system affecting the Iberian Peninsula. You can see widespread shower and thunderstorm activity spinning around the center of low pressure located right around here, and this is all going to continue to push east while gradually decreasing in intensity and coverage going into Wednesday and early Thursday. Nonetheless, there are a couple important details to know about this system before it dies out by Thursday. For example, the flood risk is going to be elevated in some places, particularly southern Portugal into southwestern Spain. The Portuguese Weather Service has issued orange warnings, and these line up well with the orange warning issued by the Spanish Weather Service and the Huelva province. In addition to the heavy rain risk, winds will be gusty at times, especially closer to the coast, with significant sea agitation likely, and some of those showers and thunderstorms could be on the stronger side with frequent lightning, small hail, and maybe even an isolated landfalling waterspout. Across the Mediterranean region, we're going to have some scattered rain and thunderstorm activity from a couple weak disturbances, and just for the eastern half of Europe in general, temperatures are going to remain unseasonably high as any real cold stays locked up in the far north and east, with precipitation, whether it's in the form of rain or snow, coming from decaying leftovers of Atlantic systems hitting Western Europe. So now that we're on the subject of these Atlantic systems, take a look at the first potentially dangerous one making its final approach on Thursday. Rain and strong winds should begin in Ireland by late Thursday night, starting off as a brief period of snow in some northern areas with marginally cold air in place. These worsening conditions will then very quickly spread into the United Kingdom by the early morning hours of Friday, but the really impactful part of the system comes behind this initial wave of widespread rain. You can see it here on the wind gust forecast. It should strike the west coast of Ireland initially before sweeping across Scotland and maybe some portions of England throughout the day. Now as we head into the weekend, the storm is going to decay as it moves into southern Scandinavia with snow and strong winds, but a slightly colder air mass is going to fill in behind it with widespread showers, some possibly wintry, and a couple small low pressure systems. This will serve as an appetizer for the second intense system or massive systems, which thankfully should be less organized than the first one. This should arrive by Sunday and Monday with widespread rain and a risk of stronger winds once again, extending this overall pattern of persistent inclement weather in the west with unseasonably warm and relatively calm conditions in the east well into next week. Throughout the next 7 days, the latest precipitation outlook reflects what we've seen so far in this video, with most countries in Eastern Europe struggling to get any substantial rain or snow, except for some locations closer to the Mediterranean. The tone will change as you work your way closer to the Atlantic, which has a front row seat to a very active period for the pest from the west. Look out for additional risks of flooding in portions of Ireland, the UK, and the Iberian Peninsula. In terms of snowfall through Sunday, the persistence of widespread above average temperatures means that southern Europe is likely going to see snow only in mountainous areas. In the UK and Ireland, snow is possible mainly in the higher terrain of northern England, Ireland, and Scotland, with really the only place seeing widespread heavy accumulating snow being portions of the Nordic countries due to a few separate rounds of snow adding up quite a bit from central Sweden into Finland. Of course, snow in the Nordic countries isn't exactly something rare, but snow is falling in a very unusual place as we speak. Winter Storm Enzo, unofficially named by the Weather Channel, is currently ramping up and getting itself organized along the US Gulf Coast. I talked about this briefly in my weekly weather roundup back on Sunday, and I really felt like mentioning this one again just because of how incredibly rare it is. Many areas that are currently getting snow or will be getting snow soon have only seen it a handful of times throughout recorded history, so the fact that we're expecting anywhere from 3 to 6 inches with locally higher amounts from southeast Texas to the North Carolina Outer Banks is truly historic and remarkable. As if that wasn't rare enough, here's another intriguing fact. Gusty winds are expected to accompany the snow, particularly from southeastern Texas into Louisiana, and this has resulted in the very first issuance of a blizzard warning in history by the Lake Charles, Louisiana Forecast Office. Again, this is clearly not something you see very often at all, and this could very well be a once-in-a-lifetime experience for millions of people in this portion of the country. So if you are watching from the Gulf Coast, make sure you follow the guidance given by local authorities and within the warnings issued by the National Weather Service. Now, to conclude this forecast, we have a few featured photos. This first one was sent in from Montana of snow-capped mountains surrounding Flathead Valley in late December. In northeastern England, this is a really cool example of lenticular clouds at sunrise. Freezing temperatures in the Balkans led to these large icicles in a tunnel. Keep in mind that this could be a danger if they were to fall off, so always be mindful not to spend too much time anywhere with icicles overhead. Thank you all for tuning in as always, and remember to stay tuned for more updates, especially on the powerful storm systems heading to Europe soon, and exercise caution if you live along the US Gulf Coast.